Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sledgehammers in the Office podcast, where we celebrate the heavy hitters on the job site and in the office. Tonight, we have an episode with Connor Tyke, who is the co-owner of a real estate company where they manage their rentals, they flip homes, and he also has his real estate license. So he is our everything real estate guy on the podcast. We've got Alex Von Reich, who is the owner of Control Analytics. He's our data and AI expert. He's really plugged into a lot of those things. So he keeps us up to date on all the news in the industry. And then I'm Thaddeus Claude, the owner of a general contracting company here in Arizona. Last year we did about $850,000 in projects. So we've got a full docket where we're going to do a review on our business from the last month, what's been going on. I have my son beside me who's going to be trying to steal my attention the entire time. He's also the reason why we didn't publish a podcast last month, because we had him with us and he decided to chat the entire time. And then we're going to close it out with the company thoughts. Actually, we might skip that one tonight, but we've got a lot of stuff to go through. But before we get into that, we need to catch up with the boys. So boys, what have we been up to?
Nothing.
No.
Okay. We went to the driving range, Dobson Ranch.
Nice.
I don't know if you guys have been there.
I have a few friends who've gone. They liked it.
It is fun. It's the Top Golf of the outdoors. A lot of bays, but you can play a round of golf at the driving range.
Okay.
Likely. Hot dogs are pretty good.
You should check out Bel Air too. Bel Air has a lot of that as well. So they have like the smart Top Golf computers.
Mm-hmm.
Then you pay for ball buckets, and they got music. They got food trucks. They do a lot of stuff at night too. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm. And we went at night.
I kind of like Bel Air better than Top Golf, I think.
Oh, for sure.
I feel like it's not as well. It gets super full in there, but I feel like it's not as crowded as Top Golf, and I feel like Top Golf does kind of turn into you're just shooting at targets, where it's a little bit more golf accurate for Bel Air.
Yeah, I think the downside is obviously you have to bring your own clubs for Bel Air, but it's so much cheaper versus Top Golf. Top Golf's like what, $40-$50 a person typically. Top Golf does have a lot better food and stuff, but for what it is, it feels like a very overblown experience.
Once you go a half dozen times, it's kind of the same thing.
The only exception is a buddy of mine. I know he has like a corporate card, so his work gives employees a corporate card, so they can go to Top Golf as much as they want. In that case, yeah, go to Top Golf. But for us normal folk, Bel Air.
Yeah.
I also went to the driving range. My wife, who has never golfed before, went, and so she tried to learn some golf. And I brought my 2.5-year-old with, and he has like some plastic golf clubs, and so he can actually hit the golf ball pretty decent. And everyone at the range thought it was awesome to see my son hitting some golf balls. And I think I had 3 different people come up and was like, "Hey, can I try out those golf clubs? Those look awesome." Like, just people are really cool. So it was fun.
That's awesome.
I got I probably got as close into Thaddeus's realm as I ever will. I had to stake out my house in Wisconsin, so we were trying to get people for a survey and stake of like where the boundary of the house is for the excavation. We initially didn't need to do a survey because there was an existing survey in the development, but we could not find anyone that it wasn't like outrageously expensive. I figured out how to do staking. I'd never done it before in my life. Made sure after many attempts that it was square. Was really proud of myself. And then the county came back and said, "Nope, you need a new survey." So all my work was for nothing. And even though I figured it out, we still have to pay someone else to do it anyways. So, is what it is. And then obviously you guys know.
You were trying to bypass them.
I guess. Well, apparently there's like a new person who's working at the Sheboygan County office, and apparently she wasn't very nice. So,
what's that county again?
Sheboygan County. In case you want to go send some emails. Yeah, no, but it's been a good week, good month, and then obviously early in April everyone else won't know because the episode didn't get published, but we were actually in person. I was visiting friends, taking care of some stuff, and yeah, got to be in Phoenix for a little bit.
It was good to see you.
Don't lie to me.
I admit I
It
didn't
was
know
good
what
right
you-
up until he said he had to leave.
Yeah, sure. What about you, Thaddeus? What were you up to?
Well, I played golf just like you guys.
Nice.
So the funny thing is
you all
about
golfed, huh?
yeah. Well, the funny thing is about my golf experience was there was a company that was putting on the golf event. I'm not going to say who it is, because I have a project that needed. They invited me to the golf tournament. And in the process of talking together, I was asking what type of projects they're trying to pick up. They told me a commercial. They're trying to press more into the commercial side. So I had a commercial project come up to bid out, and it's essentially going to be to install an elevator in a building, and their trade was needed. So I said, "Hey, would you like to bid off the plans for your trade?" And they're like, "Yeah, that'd be great. We appreciate it." Sent it over. They send me an estimate, $8,700. Cool. Put it in an estimate, send it off to the customer. He looks at it, quickly approves the whole scope of what we're doing. It's going to be a 6-figure project. And so I email the trades a day or two later and say, "Hey, would love to do a walkthrough with everyone on site. Let's just go over this because it's an elevator. It's going to be more of a complicated scope." They email me the next day. "Hey, I just want to let you know we made a mistake with our estimating. That number is not correct for the scope. So we're going to have to change that. We've reduced our markup to try and show that we've done that, to like kind of say sorry for screwing up. And attached is the estimate." So I open the estimate, and there's no, "Hey, it was here. This is how much we reduced it." It's just, now the price is $15,700. So it jumped $7,000. So I call the contact on there and I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" And they said they're having difficulties and they're having issues in their estimating department. The person that invited me to the golf tournament ends up following up with a call quickly after and says, "Hey, I think there's a possibility someone's getting let go today because of that issue." And essentially, they decide to comp our whole thing for the golf tournament. So, but to me, it was just hilarious. All that was happening the day before we go to their golf tournament. So
No.
I don't. They know who they are. They're a company that has 800 employees. So when we're at the golf tournament, I see the COO there and the guys that I'm with in my scramble. I'm like, "Oh, that's the COO." Like, I've met him before. Super, like, very nice guy. Anyways, we start playing golf. He's coming around. They're going kind of the opposite way of the course, just checking on all the golfers, saying hi to everybody. And so I went up and just said hi. Like, I hadn't seen him in several years, so I just wanted to say like hi to him, and it was good to see him again. And I wasn't going to bring up the project. There's a gentleman that he was riding with in his golf cart, and I mentioned I'm now a GC, and the other guy goes, "Oh, okay. Like, what projects are you bidding with us?" And I said, "Oh, we've got this elevator project that we're working on." Didn't bring it up. All of a sudden, the COO goes, "Oh, you're the one we screwed up on, huh?" So I'm like, I was a little surprised it made
That-
it all the way to
Yeah.
his desk, where I'm like, I feel like there's bigger fires that are burning than my $7,000 screw up, but I don't know. So
That's kind of cool though on their end.
yeah,
So they reduced the price or
not
just
really.
said, "I know what you're talking about."
It was more, I know what you're talking about, and it was like he asked like, "Are they getting it taken care of?" I'm like, "Yep, we're working through it." So it's because they have a general manager that is the one that was dealing with that, so it's not his responsibility. But yeah, so that to me was just hilarious on the timing. So yeah, but they put on a great golf tournament. So
That's fun.
hey,
So we all played golf. It's the season of golf, huh?
It is.
Yep.
It is.
Is there golf right now, Alex, in your neck of the woods?
Oh yeah, it's fantastic right now. It was like 60s yesterday. It was perfect.
Or
Yeah, a little windy, but fine for the driving range. So,
fun?
all
I
right.
still imagine you guys living in igloos.
Yeah. It has been a little bit like cold, windy, but then now this week's been fantastic. It's so green out. It's amazing. Forgot what the color green looked like. In Phoenix it's just brown.
It's a great brown though. It's homey. It
beautiful
feels
brown.
comfortable.
It's earthy.
I've got one more story before we move on to the real stuff. I had my Rio Verde project, and they had this bar furniture piece that they wanted to put in the area we were putting the slider in.
Yeah.
You excited about the story too?
Okay.
Apparently. And so they were moving from their old house to the one that we were working on, and he asked us, he's like, "Hey, can you build us a ramp, because this thing's so heavy. We've got the movers who are moving it, but it's wrapped in stone. It's this bulky furniture piece." So we were like, "Yep." So we built the ramp for him, but we had to take off. The movers were running late. We had to get to our next appointment, and so when I come back, the bar is in place, but there are two switches that they pulled out of the wall that essentially the bar slid up next to, and they didn't want to crush the switches, not realizing there was baseboard on the floor that was going to hold it off that wall, so they wouldn't be able to crush them. But now it kind of leaves us in a predicament where the switches are pulled out of the wall and the bar's in place. And so the customer's talking to us about, "Hey, can we move the switches up? Can we just put them back in or what?" And I'm like, "Well, regardless of what we do, we need to move this bar." And he goes, "You're going to need 20 guys to move this thing." He's like, "I'm telling you, it is so heavy." He's like, "Those guys could barely move it." Now, I was dealing with other things the day before and that day, so I was in a very professional mood, but I wasn't the same bright and happy self as I usually was. So
Chipper.
yeah, I was like, "Hey, can we?" I was like, "I want to try moving this thing before we just walk away from it," because I had the electricians there that day. So we got the two electricians there. They're a little younger than I am. We just got low on it, and I said, "On three, we're going to just put our shoulder into it." And then 1, 2, 3, and that thing just slid right out of the way. So this goes back to, I was not in my regular mood, because I don't know why this happened exactly. I stood up, leaned on the bar, looked the owner directly in the eyes and said, "You know how they say all men are created equal? They lied." And then I turned and I walked away. And one of the electricians followed me, and he's like, "Dude, that was pretty badass."
Dang. What was his reaction?
I think he was just impressed it moved. He didn't think it was going to move.
Before you hired 20 guys, you just
Yeah.
took the two you had.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
It was hilarious to me. So I went and had shirts made with that quote on the back of it.
Not all men are
did.
created equal.
Is it a SITO branded shirt, or is it just for fun?
Can I have one?
It's Sledgehammers in the Office. Yeah, I'll get you one.
Amazing.
I'll take one.
Yeah. So it's hilarious. Now, before we get into the business part, if other people want to be better than others, the way that you do it is just drink Shamrock Farms chocolate milk. Now, we've got Mother's Day coming up, but by the time anyone listens to this podcast, it's already going to be past. So let's start thinking about Father's Day. And my wife knows what I would like, and that is copious amounts of Shamrock Farms chocolate milk. So I'm sure that every dad out there wants to grill up a steak on Father's Day and then drink a half gallon, pass out on the couch around 2 p.m., wake up around 6, and they're ready for dessert, which is, once again, Shamrock Farms chocolate milk.
I was curious, but thank you for spelling that out.
I didn't know where that was going.
Yeah,
I was
it was a ride on
a little
these
nervous,
Shamrock
but
ads.
we ended up there.
I
just-
can't wait. Oh, go ahead.
I think our thoughts are the exact same. Go ahead.
I can't wait until you're officially sponsored.
Dude, I'd be so happy. I'd spend like every dollar of that sponsorship, like either buying Shamrock Farms or just letting the world know even louder.
You know, it was like Post Malone got like a Bud Light fridge where they always keep it stocked, and they
Yep.
always stock it full of Bud Light. You just need that, but with Shamrock Chocolate Farms, Shamrock Farms chocolate milk.
Jeez, we're never gonna get sponsored with
I,
stuff like that.
oh, Alex, you ruined our chance.
All right. Let's get into the business portion of things. Action steps from last month that you guys didn't hear about was going to be to continue to reach out to local trades, which I honestly really didn't do. And then the other thing that you didn't hear about was that Alex and I decided to get in a competition because we were talking about how AI is progressing so much and the coding is getting so good that people are going to be able to build out apps, extensions, and things like that, even if they don't have the experience. So our thought was, well, let's test this.
Mhm.
And we were going to take good old monkey brain and compete against our AI expert to see what it comes out to. He was going to build one. I was going to build one, and we'd go from there. So the night after we record the podcast, I sat down for a couple hours and start working on this thing, hit a bunch of roadblocks. Like I stayed up for that one. I was working for a couple hours on it. Next day, I started working for a couple hours on it, and I was kind of able to get the beginnings of an application put together for the website, but ended up stopped working on it. So, Alex, do you have your
I do.
yours to show us?
Yes. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
Oh, I don't even have mine.
You don't have yours at all?
I don't know where it is.
All
was
right.
in the. All right, here I'll say
In the
some
cloud.
fancy words that make me sound smart. I was in the terminal coding. I was in another browser that I had to download to start coding.
Mhm.
And yeah, so that's as far as I got.
So first of all, what AI were you using? And did you ask them to do everything
Grok.
for you? You're using Grok. Okay. And was Grok like telling you what to do? It wasn't doing it for you?
Oh yeah, it was just like copy this, put this in there. Copy this, put this in there. Now run it. See what happens.
Okay. So I think this is where you're going to find the difference. I think you would have had more success if you had tried out something that's a little bit more like hands off, something like Replit or Bolt or something like this. This is Claude. I didn't use Claude Code. I didn't get fancy with it. I'm sharing my screen. Let me know when you guys can see this.
All right, we can see it.
So I think what I was trying to show is like, if you know how to use it, you really don't need to do that much work. So
That's not what you said. The people can't verify that's not what you said. But
they can't verify it. No proof. Okay, but I did want to go a little bit crazy, but I think this is a good comparison, especially since we don't have something specific. Like I was kind of hoping, based on what tool you were using, that our results would be fairly similar. Maybe you might have had to do a few more prompts and a few more iterations because you didn't know how to say it, but it is kind of taking a lot of the guesswork out of it. So I did, and I'll walk through exactly the prompts that I want if you guys want to get that granular. But I did this in 9 prompts.
Okay,
with
you did
Claude.
that in 9. You did it in 9 prompts because I had a lot more issue than that.
The difference is this is all within a Claude. This is what's called a Claude artifact. So it's keep it all self-contained. I didn't have to open up any code thing like Thaddeus was doing. I didn't copy and paste anything. This was all within Claude. And at the end of the day, it would export it to a file and I could upload it to a website. So this is why I'm saying this aspect, like even if you would use Claude, this is pretty Thaddeus proof. And I would say for a lot of reasons. So what I didn't show here is actually if we refresh this, it gives you a little password. So you can have specific project portals for each person. This one has a super secret password. And once we put the password in, you get an overview of your project. So overall, how much it's worth, start date, completion, the contractor with the phone number, all this kind of stuff. There might be some stuff you want to work out or blur out here. So I'll try to go fairly quickly. But something that I really liked was it had this really customized calendar that I kind of fleshed out a little bit. You can click on and see certain detailed information of like, hey, this is what we're going to be doing here for framing, all that kind of stuff. When deposits are due on how Thaddeus does his stuff. So hey, progress payment number 2 is due at this much, 30% of total, triggered by completion of this and this. There's the overall estimate breakdown, which I love my analytics. So being able to see, okay, most of the project I'm spending on plumbing, then shower and tile, cabinet, glass, kind of going down. For fixtures, you could see a breakdown. So actually all of this stuff, it pulled from a lookbook that Thaddeus had already created. So it was just this PDF that he had full of things. And you can actually use this. And actually, I use this idea in a project that I'm doing. So I'm building my house out here in Wisconsin, and I actually really like the ability to do this. So I built something similar where I can take a URL of a thing and add multiple things to each room. So thanks, Thaddeus, for that idea. Something else. So those were kind of the main 4 things. Like when Thaddeus and I were talking the prior time, we were talking about, hey, what's the major things that people want? And then I just asked Claude an open-ended thing, like, hey, what are some really valuable things that we could add to this to make this more useful? And it gave me a list of suggestions. I said, okay, do this, 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 and this. And so one of it was like progress photos. So you could upload during every part of the week of like, hey, here's where we are at week 1. And either the user or the GC could upload those photos and you could see how things are progressing. Change orders, being able to request change orders and say, hey, we need to do this. It's requested by the client or contractor. Selections, being able to actually look at all the selections beforehand, see which ones are approved, which ones are pending. Messages, have an overall update of like, hey, we've done this, we've hit this milestone, here's a question for you, all that kind of stuff. And then something I really like that I didn't ask for it really to do, but it did this anyways, so it's kind of like a document storage. So not only does it have all the actual files in here, but it also has a summary of everything, which I really liked. It was like, hey, for the project contract, it includes all this. The preliminary estimate has, who's doing it, how much, and breaking down the key contract terms. So like, hey, it's a 1-year warranty, HOA approvals, dispute resolution, permit responsibility, all that kind of stuff, making it really easy for the client to use. And again, a lot of these you might tweak, as a GC, you can kind of tweak it however you need, but within 9 prompts, this is a pretty complete solution and not something that I necessarily had to work that hard on.
For 9 prompts, especially, that's pretty impressive.
Well, and if we even let's see if I can share this tab. So this is the actual prompt page, and you can see it's created the thing here. This was my initial thing. So it really just comes back to, I need a customer portal hosted on a web page. Customer needs to be able to log in, see all the following files, but I'd like a way to upscale the experience, maybe more in-depth schedule, better breakdown of fittings, etc. And then I just attached the 4 PDFs that Thaddeus had given me of an estimate, an overview, a lookbook, and a few other things. So JEPA framework, all that is a way to tell the AI to like keep looking back and questioning its own theories and thoughts. And so it did all of that. It spit this out, and I said, okay, great. spruce up the calendar. This is like, I want actual this, I want this. Again, not that much that I'm saying here. Then when they produce it and had this error, I just copied and pasted the error. It fixed it. Then I said, hey, make the calendar look more modern. Then it did that. I was like, have Sunday be on the leftmost side. And when I hover or click on a day, I'd like more detail about what's happening. It did that. And then I clarified, because I think it had an issue that first time. I said, what other features do you have? Gave me a list of features. And I said, build everything except for that feature. Did that. Another error. And then we're done. That's it.
Wow.
That is, I'm surprised at how few prompts that was.
So, and the thing is now also with Claude Code, it can do it all and have a lot better context. So where AI is really good is that first 80% that you want. So if you want a website that you're doing or something like that, it's really good at doing it very early on. It's when you're trying to tweak stuff at the end of like, hey, move this a little bit here or slightly tweak that, then it gets worse and worse and worse as you go on. And if you have a project that's already existing and it's got a lot of code or a lot of context and you're trying to give it to the AI, that can also really suck. So I've had some other projects that I've been working on where I'll hand it a big block of code and it's like, yeah, no, and it just doesn't want to do it. So there's lots of different challenges, but off the bat, if you use the right tool, the right prompting, it can be really impressive.
So the reason why I ended up not doing anything with it today was, if I already mentioned, there's software I was looking into, and it mostly started out because we're trying to draw floor plans.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were looking into their price of stuff, and they had the bulk of all this in their dashboard, and I'm behind on a bunch of other stuff. So I was like, I should probably work on that rather than necessarily be trying to figure out how to code right now.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that was interesting was it's a company called Houzz, Houzz, and they don't have the pricing on their website, so I'll kind of give spoiler for what they're going to charge us for. And it's an annual fee, but essentially it ranges between, roughly $400 a month up to over $600 a month. And it really seems to just depend on the timing that you sign up. But it had all that in there. The reason why that I was looking at pulling the trigger on that was because their payment processor would essentially save us more money than we'd be spending on it right now. So we do the bulk of our stuff through ACH, and they have it where ACH fees are only $25. If you go through QuickBooks, which is the one we're using right now, it's a 1% ACH fee. Yeah. So as we were forecasting, we've got a lot of leads right now to where we might be doing $1 million worth of projects between now and the end of the year. We'd be looking at spending $10,000 just in ACH fees, compared to if we're spending $25 per ACH transfer, it's going to be significantly cheaper, and we'd get the whole Houzz program on top of it. So it's like, oh, okay, that seems to make a lot more sense. And it has the calendar built in. It has the project tracking software, customer side, contractor side, all that good stuff.
Interesting. Oh, when you talk about floor plan, this is a relevant prompt I did for a GC friend of mine, taking an existing real floor plan and then creating like a marketing version that's all cleaned up and simple for use. And Gemini actually created this really, really well. So another impressive use of an AI. So I thought you guys would like that.
Nice.
So, so now seeing the portal that I showed off, how does that compare to your expectation of what you think can be created with AI?
After what I ran into with the XAI, I was like, after the first 2 days, I was like, this is a lot more of a pain in the butt than I feel like most people are going to want to deal with. So after seeing how it works on Claude, it's like, all right, that makes a lot more sense. And I think it goes back to, it's a good example of what we talked about, where it's the difference between what are some of the strengths of the different AIs. So obviously that one was kicking the crap out of what I was trying to do, because I was having to be back and forth in this coding terminal a lot. And then there were issues. And so it's like, okay, yep, we need to get rid of this. Here's how to get rid of this code. Here's how to put this one back in. And it's like, I don't know what's happening. And I literally feel like a copy and paste monkey. The nice part, the really cool part was I could take screenshots of the screen and say, here's the code I put in. Here's the picture of the screen. And then it would be like, oh, okay, yeah, here's the problem. Here's what we need to do. I think part of it, me not knowing anything, was also a handicap for the X side. So it kind of becomes, okay, I feel like it would almost be like, are you using the right tool? Because if you are using Claude, then great, we could possibly get the result that you had. But if not, then probably not. So I'd say I'm impressed with it. I was a little more pessimistic after my experience, but yeah.
But I think, I mean, I've been vibe coding and doing lots of coding with Claude for like 2 years. So 2 years ago, it was the exact same experience as what you're doing with Grok. Like, all AI was just that bad, and it was a real slog. I would have to spend hours and hours trying to get something basic fixed, and it was really, really frustrating. I won't say that all of that is eliminated, but it's a lot better. And so nowadays, if you're struggling with one tool, the tools are generally out there, and there are other tools that you can try. So like, for a long time, Claude was really bad with design stuff. And I was like, oh, that sucks. But then I found that Gemini did a really good job with design stuff. So Gemini has kind of become my design tool for a lot of things. So part of its experience, but nowadays there really is a kind of tool for everything. So just like a hammer isn't going to serve you for every aspect of the job, you need to figure out what tool do you need to do the job well.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think kind of going back to, it's just, it probably wouldn't take that long to figure it out. And I think as they start to specialize more, it'll get easier to identify it. I still would I think it would just make more sense just to be like, hey, Alex, could you just build this, or find the person who could actually build it, rather than spend the time to do it myself.
To some degree, I think also if you tried again with something like Bolt or with Replit, I think you would have a very different experience, and you'd be like, okay, wait, this is really cool, because it is all self-contained, and it is designed from the beginning to have that experience where you're not supposed to be able to or need to tinker with it.
Yeah. I just don't know if the juice is worth a squeeze, because like at a certain point, the constraint then becomes on how well can I work with the tool. And we're starting to bank a lot more on the tool itself, rather than someone where if I were to hire someone like you to say, hey, you have the tool, go do it. It's similar, I'd say, to when you were remodeling your master bathroom. You had the tile saw, you had all the tools to do it, but it's like, okay, yeah, you should be able to do it, and your bathroom turned out great, but it's different than if I were to take all those same tools and do it, just because I have more experience with it. So it's like, yes,
I agree.
You do it. Yes, you did a great job, but would you then go say, now I'm selling, like, that's what I do, or this is a key part of my business? And especially since I think some of these things, how do they get updated more on a perpetual basis?
Well, I think the use case that I'm seeing are for smaller businesses that are already doing that, but with like Google Sheets or Excel, right? They're already trying to like have everything run out of that, and they have no idea. They might not have the income or the ability to tap someone else on the shoulder. So they want to build a solution that works expressly for them. It might make more sense nowadays to have it be a Replit app, or have it be a Bolt app, rather than try to force square peg in a round hole on Google Sheets.
I just feel like I'd rather hire someone like, I'd rather just hire you to do it because it's once again, I think coming back to, I don't know if you can hear him, but he is just shouting his way down the hall. For me, it's, I think there's certain things that you look at that are more native that I'm looking at that I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Like you could see something and say, oh, okay, I've got a general idea on what to do to tweak this. And I'm like, cool, we got this far. So
Yeah, I'm not saying people are gonna build the perfect solution, but like in your example, if the equivalent is, hey, I can either go on Replit and pay $20 or however much to build something that meets most of my needs, or go pay a company $6,000 for a thing. For some business owners, it's going to make more sense to just not sacrifice some of the functionality for the ease of use.
yeah.
I mean, Thaddeus, think if you watched the demo of Alex building out his prior to you making yours, if you didn't have the tool or the knowledge of the prompts, if you watched him give the demo, then you built yours, you would have a better understanding. You kind of went in cold. You watch an expert 9 prompts later build it, you could put in those same 9 prompts now. And
I still look at it as someone could watch me remodel a bathroom. Right. And it's like, okay, now you know how to do it. And it's like, but there's certain touch things, there's certain nuances that on the next bathroom, I'd open up and be like, oh, okay, this one's a little different because A, B, and C. And the other person's like, I got to follow the steps. And it's like, it's a little different. And this is where the individual knowledge comes down to. So I think the part that I'd be more curious about is, so there's House, there's, I think, called Procore, and there's one called Builder Trend, and they all essentially do the same thing, and it's very similar to what you built out. The stuff that it does, I've worked with Builder Trend with a previous GC, and it's one of the larger staples in the market. Yep. It allows communication between subcontractors. It allows you to send either e-checks or ACH. You can receive your payment, all that stuff through there. You can have the contractor dashboard, customer dashboard for all your projects, all that. It's very robust. It's really cool. The Builder Trend is essentially for probably the tier that I described, around $1,000 a month. So House is cheaper, roughly the $500 to $600 a month. The part that I would be interested with is, what does it look like at an enterprise size, and what does that pricing look like? Because for me, that would be the interesting thing where, okay, if we were to if I had started the company and we could fast forward to where I'm 10 years in rather than essentially 2 years full time, would it make sense for me to go say, hey, grab someone like Alex, build me something that essentially is a replicate of House, Builder Trend, whatever, or it's not necessarily a replicate, but has all the same functions in there, but is more tailored to how we'd use it specifically. And is it then, is it cheaper to do it that way? And we don't have to pay an annual fee, or the annual fee is to, hey, can you come tweak X, Y, and Z, but we're not having to pay the 12,000 or 6,000 or whatever the price is going to be going forward. Because obviously, like, if you did that in 9 prompts, I would imagine that, like, already it looks pretty dang good. If we were to give you a little bit more time with it, and if you were to even understand, hey, this is what the industry platforms look like in general, we could get pretty dang close pretty fast. So I would assume that it would be cheaper than the 6,000 a year, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think you could give you some ownership, and I think that's why I say that a lot of newer companies now are going to be solutions that are like hyper specific to certain things. And so it's like, this is a software for GCs that are working between this and this and need this specific thing. And you're going to see, like, the people with the AI knowledge and the business knowledge kind of coming together a little bit more, because it is easier to build. And and then you can kind of offer more like bespoke solutions. It's not as big of a development lift as it was before.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, anyways, that was a huge tangent. But Thaddeus, is there anything else on your end?
One of the things was this year has started a lot slower than I wanted it to. We've had some good projects along the way that have kind of kept us moving, which is great. But right now we are staring down $1 million+ in projects that we might complete before the end of the year, depending on how much of it goes through. And I'm rather optimistic about a decent size of it. And our goal for the year was we did 850 last year. That's our top line. And so this year I was trying to do 1.2. So we might essentially do that 1.2 in 7 months, which would be absolutely insane. So that's crazy. And for me, it's just coming off of the frustration of the first couple months of like, why does it seem like everything is so slow? Why is it not there? The work that it's trying to put in on the marketing side or the sales side, it just didn't seem to be coming around. And now all of a sudden I feel like there's this, it's almost like a tsunami wall that I'm staring at, like, oh, it might all hit and we're going to be doing all of the work right now. So that's kind of fun, exciting, scary. And one of the other parts of that I felt kind of validated on was I bid a project in Fountain Hills. It was like December, January of this year. This guy had an addition that he wanted to do, and it ended up being more expensive than he wanted to spend the money on. But he ended up reaching out to me this last week and saying, hey, can you send me that estimate again? His email got hacked, so he had to get a new one, so he didn't have the estimate anymore. And I gave him a call within like 5 minutes. So got on the phone with him just to kind of say, hey, just want to verify this is what we're still doing. He's like, yep. So he told me he got quotes from other guys. They were cheaper than my quote was, but he noticed that on almost all the quotes, they had stuff missing from the scope that was needed that was in mine. He said that when you still factored those in, mine was still more expensive, but he was starting to look at, this guy has accounted for all the things. These guys are missing things. So what does that look like during the project? He said there was another contractor that he liked during the process of getting an estimate, but for him to get a hold of the guy took about a day and a half. He had to go through like a backdoor channel to get a hold of him. And he's like, as we're on the phone, he's like, the nice part was I texted you and within 5 minutes, I'm on the phone with you. And it's like, yeah. So essentially we revised the estimate and we're working through trying to get his across the finish line right now. So like it's, for me, it was just the validation that some of the stuff on the sales motion side that I've been working on is working. So I was very happy about that. And then I feel like a lot of the processes are starting to fall in place, and the beginning of this year was slow, but it almost gave me the time to get a lot of that stuff done compared to if I was busy, it would have just been on the back burner because we were busy. So I'm very happy that kind of we have a lot of those things in place, and it's going to be more of as these leads have come in, we've been able to have okay, this link gets sent out at this time. Here's what the cadence looks like. Here's how we communicate. And now we're kind of just rolling. So it's been good. So, yeah. All right, Connor, what do you got for us?
Coming from?
Say again?
That are converting. Where are some of the new leads coming from that you're converting? Just
I have a whiteboard behind me, so let me look. A lot of it's been referral, like it's just essentially referrals coming from a lot of different areas. So we've got a kitchen that we're bidding that's coming from a designer that I met a while ago, a referral from the window and door company that I used to work for, a referral from a customer that it's a neighbor of hers. She lives 2 doors down from. It's a guy that we did work on his house. And I think I told you guys about our big July 4th job last year. Essentially that project is heading into phase 2, which is they're they're building the house and now they need help with more of that scope. So there's that. So it's just more of a continuation on that. One of them was a follow-up from Rio Verde that the people that we did the project for, they liked us so much that they referred us to their friends. So it's a lot of referrals, and then the other one was the flooring company that I work with, or the tile company that I work with. They've got a couple referrals coming in. So it's weird that, to me, like, January and February was just dead. Like, there were no project leads coming in, like, almost at all. And then it seems that the faucet just got turned on, because it's not that, oh, I found a marketing niche or I started working on something and it worked. It was just everything kind of came from all these different directions at the same time. So, yeah. All right, Connor, what do you got for us?
It's been a busy month for me, but start with the industry specifics. Current interest rates are pretty similar. This month they're right at 5.7. Last month they were at 5.8. Pretty in line. Actives are within 100 houses of each other, so 29,900 pretty much right there. Closes are a little down, about 8% down, but not a huge change. So pretty similar to that last month. Recap some of our numbers. We finished a remodel in Tempe. It's a 1-bedroom. We have that for rent, just good. I gave a referral out to Steve, the guy I work with, for it could have been a good candidate for a wholesale or a wholetail. I wanted to partner with him on some more deals, so I gave it to him. They ended up, so I went out to the buyer, or to the seller, talked to him, and then kind of passed it off to Steve. Then Steve took it from there. They ended up purchasing the house, and then last Friday they closed it, and I think they're going to do a little remodeling, and they just sent me a nice referral fee I didn't realize I was getting. So that was a really nice surprise. So I think a lot of the retail deals I'm going to try to refer out to other realtors. I've talked to one for Chandler, one for Mesa, and then one for Peoria, Glendale, Phoenix, and try to partner with some guys on some more of these deals, because as you'll see, I'm getting a lot of deals that I actually probably can't take everything on or even follow up with everyone, which is a good problem to have. So that's what I'm running into. So I'd signed up with a new cold call company. If for those who have watched past episodes, this is the third one. So we're on number 3. And this one I'd say is by far the best, which is great.
That's good.
I had so they funnel the leads directly into my CRM, and it took like 4 days for them to connect it and hook it up and to actually start funneling them into my CRM. And one day, April 20th, I logged in and there were like 28 leads in there. I'm like, holy crap, what in the world? So they had all the call recordings. That was a problem before. And I have 2 callers with them. And so far what are we? 2.5 weeks in, maybe going on our 3rd week now. I have 59 leads from them.
Dang.
Which is amazing. And I've probably talked to half the leads so far. I've called the others, left messages, texts, whatnot. Talked to half, like actual conversations. Maybe only, so let's say 60. So I've talked to 30. Out of the 30, 4 have pretty much said they're not really interested or don't want to do anything for a year plus. So I kind of put them in a category of not interested for now. So out of that other 25, I set 7 appointments for this week. So I went out to one today, I have one tomorrow, and then a few others. They're a combination of different cash deals or just retail. One guy, in Mesa on Thursday, wants to sell a house, and also his mother-in-law wants to sell 2 houses. So one's hers, one's a rental. He's going to sell his, and then they're going to move into a bigger house. So it could be like 4 transactions through one, which is pretty wild.
What have you noticed besides obviously the output is different between this cold call team and then the ones that you had worked for before?
Well, I think the first one, they produced leads. I couldn't get in contact with most of them. I don't know. Maybe they did. I think their callers are better. I think they're asking a lot more questions. I think they're screening them prior to sending them to me, which is good. Part of it also, I think I'm providing better data to them also. Better records, better data.
Why does data keep coming up? I feel like someone talked to us about that and we kept saying, let's get back to work.
Weird how that works, huh?
Little voice in my head. I think data is important. I think how they're talking to people in screening is important.
Yeah.
The script they use, the accent of the people, is it strong? Can you actually understand them? That's really big. All of them always say, they have no accents, but
yeah, whatever.
You do. These guys actually very little, and they're in. I believe they're in.
What's the cost structure versus the other two? Because I know, I think the second one was more expensive, right?
Yeah, second one was more expensive, but they did include skip tracing, which I don't know if there's been a drastic change in skip tracing pricing from when I first started. It was October, November. I was looking at it. The cheapest I could find to skip trace was like 8 cents a record. Now I'm seeing about half that, 4 cents. But even through PropStream, if you get their middle tier, which is $200 a month, I get 50,000 free skip traces.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Which I'm like, I don't know why I didn't know about this before. So the number 2, the last company I was with, it's free skip tracing, but it's a lot more expensive than.
Yeah.
And their leads are good, but there's just not many of them. They promised guaranteed 15 a month, and if they didn't reach that, they'd add another caller. But I've gotten in 3 months a total of 25, so we're 20 short, and they're never gonna make that up. So I'm still with them, but I'll probably cancel the next billing cycle. So out of 25 leads that are interested, I scheduled 7 appointments this week. Busy week. Some of the people, they're not all distressed, and that's part of the data I provided them. They're not all distressed. There's not 40,000 distressed in Arizona this month. So I'm going to refine it, find better ways to whittle down the data to find those people. But even retail sales, I was telling Alex that I referred out, could have been a wholesale, could have been a wholetail, to partner Steve. Worked with Steve before, and he ended up closing it and then sending me a referral fee on Friday, which is to go to one appointment, have like 2 phone calls with someone, and send you money is
pretty awesome.
Pretty wild. So I want to do more of that, which that was pretty cool. I talked to some of the people are pretty cool. They want to sell and could be good leads and good clients for future. One guy, he owns a couple shopping centers in Arizona and then a 20-unit apartment complex in Phoenix he wants to sell.
Oh, cool.
I'm going to try to visit that this week and meet him. He just wants to sell someone. He doesn't want a broker. He doesn't want to go through a realtor, which we potentially buy it or somehow. So, which is great. To get in front of a seller of a 20-unit complex with a few other commercial stuff is pretty cool.
How much do you feel like your business has picked up in the last 12 months?
A lot. How much? I mean, we stopped flipping for a couple years. I couldn't The wholesale deals I'd find weren't really there. I wasn't doing any direct to seller. I mean, we've closed on, flipped, referred out, wholesale since I started last August, probably 5 or 6 houses directly from marketing now, direct to seller marketing. That just wasn't a even something I was doing a year ago, even barely 9 months ago. I think I started in August. So
Yeah.
this is my main focus now, pretty much. I've hired out the leasing of the apartments to another realtor. I pay him half a month's rent to lease an apartment. He leases them really quick, and I don't even focus on leasing anymore. I just, like the one remodel we finished, 1 bedroom in Tempe, I gave it to him, and he'll probably tell me he's got a tenant like next week. And that was a big piece of what I was working on, finding tenants. And now for a $1,300 a month apartment, I pay him, $650, and I don't worry about it, and it frees up a lot of hours to do more direct to seller. And you had asked about cost for them. So I pay $4.50 an hour for one caller, which comes out to, they bill every 4 weeks, so $770 for 4 weeks for one caller. And then I have 2 callers, so $1,440. And then I pay the company, I think it's $900 to manage them, essentially. So it's about $2,300 for 2 callers. And what is that? I've gotten 58 leads, 2,300, which is $40 a lead, which is, they say $25 a lead, but we still have 2 weeks left to get 20 more leads.
That's wild.
It's pretty good, pretty darn good. I'm excited. So
yeah, which I feel like the part that I was even just looking at your notes before we got on the podcast tonight, and it's just been interesting to watch, especially the last couple months, to see kind of like the momentum where you had the first group of the cold callers, and it's like, okay, like you actually got something within the first month. And but the part that I think I would have stopped there, but you were like, I think we can do better. And then you went and found a second one, and it's like, oh, they're doing a little better. And I definitely would have stopped there. And then you're like, I don't know. I think I'm going to get a third one. And you're like, these guys. But it's now seeing even just like, I think it's, you started on the podcast about a year ago with us. So it's been kind of interesting to watch like that growth curve on just the activity that you've had for everything. So it's been fun to show up and take a look at your notes for the podcast to see like, all right, what's he cooking right now?
There's a lot moving, it feels like.
Yeah.
I'll say this too.
Do you remember the conversation we had? I remember where I was when we had the conversation on the phone about delegating and hiring employees. Yeah. And then like now I feel like you're in full blown mode of like, you've got the guy, like this guy handles leasing. Like I'm going to scale back on this. It's like, you've started to build the amount of volume that you're like, you're carving out your niche for even just your job. So I think for me, it's kind of, it's just exciting to watch and for me to be like, I remember the conversation where like, this is about a year ago and now seeing like that, this is what it looks like. One trip around the sun later. So
I appreciate that. You both know, with a 1.5-year-old and Alex, you got 2 kids. I can't. I used to tell my wife I get all my best work done after like 8 p.m. But before I was married, before kids, I'd love to just sit at 8 after dinner, just pump out some stuff. I don't have that now. I don't have as much time to work on those fun projects, or I don't know. So I really have to be more efficient with my time. You both know that, but it's true. I can't do the leasing when I can sub it out for half a month's rent. And this guy, he's good. It's pretty cool how quickly you can find tenants. Yeah, just putting people in the right place so I can, I don't know, talk to more sellers. It's interesting, this batch, I think it was 5 different people. So I've talked to 30 about. Out of those 35 had said, I don't want to pat myself too much on the back, but they're like, "You're really cool. I haven't talked to someone like you about my house, and the way you're thinking about it's pretty interesting, and I want to, have you out and talk more." And they're just, because I tell them I'm not just sell your house fast for cash. I'll give you this to you. It's tell them I want to look at each seller's situation uniquely, because they are. There's 20 different reasons they could be selling. Do they have mortgages on their house? Do they not? Are there another liens? Are there other family members involved? The amount of variables for each person's house, the reason they're selling, it's almost endless. So I tell them I look at their situation individually, strategize, and then give them like 5 different options of what they could do with their house and try to get the most money in their pocket. And that's kind of my pitch, my goal. Is it right for retail? Should we buy it? Should we help you fix it up? Or 2 others that aren't used as much. And yeah, seems like it's resonating, that pitch. The old guy with the 20 unit complex, he's a old Polish dude. I can't do a Polish accent, so I won't even try, but he's one of the guys. I'm like, this old Polish dude thinks I'm cool, and that's pretty cool. So
That's pretty neat.
that's something that made my weekend. So
there you go. That's cool.
Yeah, and I'll say on production side, current projects are manufactured home. So we have a house on 35th Street and 35th Place, and they're right down the road, so it gets kind of confusing. But 35th Place is our manufactured home. It's an escrow. We're supposed to close early. Something came back on the appraisal that they just need to do 1 inspection, but it should close. If not this week, it's the 12th, so in about a week. That was bought it directly from the seller, really didn't do much work to it, and then just put it on market. And if things go to plan, there might be a profit. We'll see. And then our 35th Street project, a house where we're expanding the back patio. So we have 116 feet. We enclosed the back patio, and then we enclosed the laundry room in the garage, which is about another 45 feet. So we're adding, 160 feet to the house. And we have our pre-drywall inspection tomorrow. So we've done all our framing, electrical, plumbing, mechanical. Inspector will come tomorrow, and then I have showers scheduled for Wednesday to start. Our patio is being built starting tomorrow, and then paint, floor, kitchen, backsplash, fixtures. So hopefully by the next meeting, early June, we'll be wrapped up and on the market.
Nice.
Would be the goal.
Okay.
You should come by, Thaddeus.
Yeah.
If
Let me
you're
know.
not,
This week.
check it out.
Yeah.
Give me some pointers.
Which,
Talking to a real one.
all right, before we turn it over to Alex to round out our conversation on AI for the night, I'm going to pat ourselves on the back one more time. Just that I feel like we've had even some of the conversations not on the podcast where it's like, I feel like we're putting these processes in place and they should be working. And like, why are they not working? And I feel like with my Fountain Hills thing, and then just seeing like this, how you're getting the feedback from the different people, it's like, okay, it's actually working. It's taking time. And so it's the having to be patient and not just like, I started it today. Why is it not working today? So, oh geez, my son is drawing on my door with a marker. But yeah, to kind of say like, I'm very proud of that. And I'm very happy to see that that's happening, because there's a lot of stuff where I almost felt like I was just spinning my wheels at a certain point. Like, I feel like I'm doing these things that some of the other guys aren't doing. And why is it not working? And then now it's like, Okay, I think we've got something.
I mean, that is, how many times did you have the conversation saying, I'm really frustrated that I'm not getting these bids because I'm giving the full scope and they're not? And like that, you've been saying that for a long time. It's not just like a couple months, right? I think there's some of these things that have some payouts really take a long time. And so it's like, how long are you willing to continue the process despite a payout? And then sometimes the payout pays off, sometimes it doesn't, and I think it's really cool to see in 1 month just all the work paying out.
Absolutely.
Yep.
One last thing I want to highlight just real quick. At our 35th Street project, the neighbors behind us, they have a patio, and their patio roof has blown over, and it's like half hanging on their roof and just exposed OSB board, and it's all rotting, and it doesn't look great when we're getting ready to sell in a month. And it's been that case since we looked at it in middle of March. So we're thinking, what can we do? I've tried to contact the homeowners, knock on the door, sent them letters to say, hey, can we help out with your roof at all? It's not good for our sale, but also help do a neighborly thing. Haven't been able to get in contact with them. So we're like, plan step 2 is put up, we got a bid for 8 ficus columns, 8 feet tall, that would cover it.
Nice.
And like put up a wall, our own green wall.
There you go.
I'm about to pull the trigger and tell my landscape guy, I need 20 tons of gravel, 300 feet of pavers, irrigation. And then my dad actually went over one more time to the house just to knock, and the lady answered, and I wasn't there, unfortunately, but he told me. Maya, she answered, and he's like, we want to fix your roof. She goes, what do you mean you want to fix the roof? He goes, well, work on this house behind you. It, help you, obviously, and help us, and we want to do it. And then she started crying. He's like, what's the catch? What are you guys gonna, like, bill me afterwards? Like, no, we just want to, help you out. Helps both of us, but help that. So that was pretty cool. That I'm gonna get our patio guy, framer, roofer over there this week and bid it out, and hopefully help her put on the. She has no money. She's like, I know it's broke. I didn't know she knew. Who looks on their patio? Maybe she didn't know. She's like, no, I know, and she just has no money and can't fix it. But it's rotting and pretty bad. So that was something pretty cool this past week.
Nice. Heck yeah.
That's awesome.
All right. AI again. Same spiel, different month. No. Big thing we're seeing, again, we've been talking about agents for a while, but now you're starting to see more people build off of that. And I know I say that a little bit every month, but what isn't working now with agents is token usage. So things are starting to really ramp up in cost and AI in general. A lot of companies, Anthropic, Google, Microsoft, OpenAI, all of them are starting to realize how expensive this is really getting. And so slowly but surely, every new model that's coming out is getting more and more expensive because they need to start clawing back revenue. And there's only so much fundraising you can do. Even though it's insane how much they're raising, they're burning through it so quickly, and they need to be able to prove up more revenue. So there's a lot of different model changes that are coming out, but overall you're going to start seeing even the base, like $20 a month subscription, those are starting to go away. And even Claude is teased of like, hey, what if we remove Claude Code for the $20 a month, so you have to buy the $100 or $200 a month version to still be able to use Claude Code. So there are some radical differences that are kind of coming, and AI is starting to get a lot more expensive. Because of the token usage, you're seeing two different dichotomies. So Meta and Microsoft both announced a lot of layoffs. About 16,000 people total were affected in April alone. Versus Now there's other companies like IBM, I think IBM is the biggest one right now, that are rehiring or hiring more people because AI is super expensive. And they're like, it's actually more impactful to have AI and a senior engineer versus just other people that are just using AI because they're wasting tokens and we're burning all this amount of spend. And so now you see this balance of like AI was this godsend and it was amazing until it isn't, and then you realize how expensive it gets. And if you fire all your people and then AI starts the cost to develop with AI rises dramatically, it's suddenly no longer this amazing thing that people thought it was. So it's really interesting to see how that's starting to play out across different companies. Two other major releases, Claude has just been, ever since the whole government thing, has kind of been on a roll. They're really trying to keep up with the pace, and so they talked about Claude Mythos, which they said was the best model ever, and it was so good that they refused to release it to the public. Instead, they said its cybersecurity abilities were that good that it did a private release to 50 different companies to give them a chance to get ahead of what's going on. There were talks about a leak, but Claude reassured that it was fine. But this is kind of interesting to see, is like, if we're seeing models that are this drastic and are advancing this quickly, how well does the rest of the world's infrastructure hold up? Because updating security and all that kind of stuff is not a fast job. And so, yeah, what happens if something like that comes out into the world and then there are malicious actors who can use this? It's very interesting to see. That's kind of some of the more ethical things that people are raising about AI. Is, it just makes it easier for people to do really crappy things, whether it's deep fakes and scamming grandparents, or having something like Mythos that could potentially just crack whatever. So interesting to see that. And then last but not least is Claude Design. So
real
Claude
quick
is
before
kind
we
of
move on from that,
yeah.
I almost wonder if this is a counterpoint to the conversation we had earlier about people bringing more things in house. If that's going to almost be the next feature that is sold, where it's, if you go through a company that is more of an institution, that their selling point is going to be, hey, we didn't vibe code our way through this, so your company's not going to be breached by your payment processor or the credit cards that are on file or whatever that looks like. And I'm sure that there's going to be workarounds for some of the integrations on the payment processors, kind of same way as they are now, where it's like, it's not really there, it's a third-party plugin. But I wonder if it will be more of a, we've gone through the process of test attacking this with the different AI malware or attacks that you can do on it, and it's, is it the term, white hats have tried to firm up any of the areas that have a problem, so that now they're going to be selling safety as part of their development.
There's already consulting and development companies now that will say, hey, we'll charge you, $10,000 to build you an app for free. We'll build the app, or we'll pay $15,000. You can pay us $15,000, and we'll fix the vibe coded app that you built, because they have to untangle all the AI nonsense, and people don't realize what they're getting into when all of a sudden then you have security concerns and you're trying to make sure that things aren't published to the wrong spot, and you're actually trying to set up like a real database and stuff that requires good architectural knowledge and like full picture viewing rather than just, hey, AI, go do it. So it is really interesting to see how the dynamic of things is changing. And I think this has been the first month where it felt like a lot of, and again, this is just kind of my feel on the internet. I feel that the overall hype is kind of reaching that crescendo right now. Like, there's still plenty of hype, but enough people are playing with AI long enough that they're seeing more and more of the real limits of what AI can do. And don't get me wrong, there's newer models and all this kind of stuff, but I think it's telling when companies like Apple are having a hardware guy be their next CEO, right? Like, they're tuning out completely from the AI side. They said, yeah, we've lost the AI race. We're not going to try to chase everyone on down the AI road because it's just burning cash. Instead, we're going to focus on hardware and just use whoever. It doesn't matter. Google is interesting too because Google has so much cash, and right now Microsoft and Anthropic are pumping the brakes and saying, how do we get more cash out of people? We need to start raising the prices of things. ChatGPT is like, we got to start rolling out ads. Everyone's looking how to monetize because they're burning so much cash. Google is the only one that has gone a lot less on the hype, a lot less Super Bowl ads. They don't need to do that because they make so much money. But they're like, we just got to go for like quiet, consistent improvements. So it's going to be really interesting a year from now to see this and see like, hey, what's changed, what's different, who's the winner of AI, and what does that entire ecosystem look like?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that Google had a model that was generating cash, and so I think they weren't raising money the same way a lot of the other companies were, and they also had some of the plugins that made sense where I forget the stat on how much of their search, I think they've increased their search revenue, and part of that has come directly from Gemini because they have plugged in Gemini to the search part of it. Exactly. And so it's the part that's interesting is they had the scaffolding to almost build off of for the AI where ChatGPT, Anthropic, and some of the others didn't. So it'll be interesting where it balances out.
What is one of the paid search and search as a whole is Google's like biggest cash cow. But other than that, do you know what their second biggest cash cow is?
I feel like I know it, but what?
Cloud computing. Oh. They own the infrastructure. Google Cloud is huge. Microsoft has it too, but they only have AI through OpenAI partnership. Google is the first company that has a flagship model and the infrastructure to support it. Versus OpenAI and Anthropic are constantly relying on everyone else for the what? Grok
X. Yeah.
But Grok doesn't have the infrastructure.
Okay. Yeah, they do. And what do you mean by infrastructure? Maybe I'm misunderstanding you.
So servers, computers.
Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah.
Not at the scale of Google and Microsoft. They
do.
No shot.
Yeah.
In what
I could be wrong. So I was listening to the All In guys talk about it, and they're saying that one of the advantages that they think is one of the things that is X could have going in its favor is the amount of compute that they have. And it's with the amount of GPUs that they've stood up. So that I think right now X AI is in like fourth place. I think it goes ChatGPT. Does it go Gemini and then Anthropic, or do I have those backwards?
I think it's Anthropic's number 2.
Okay, and then it goes X. So, but part of what they're looking at is Anthropic is running into compute issues. So that's where you saw 4.7 come out, and the thinking isn't the same. I think on some sections they're actually rolling, or some companies are rolling back to 4.6 because they're having issues with stuff like that. And that comes down to a compute issue. Whereas with what XAI is doing, they have a lot currently, but they're also getting into developing their own chip fab. So I think that's where they're getting into kind of the same thing they did with Tesla, where they're going to have everything soup to nuts that they can control front to back. So it's their advantage would be is they have the compute where some of these other companies might run out. And the part that would get interesting is where does that start to become a problem for other companies as certain states start to get weird about where you can put data centers and stuff like that.
Well, and I think Google and X together have a lot of advantages because they've done the manufacturing side. Google with phones, Tesla and SpaceX and all the relevant stuff there as well. So I think on long term, those have the most success because Google has a lot of partnerships with Anthropic, and Anthropic is locked in to pay them X amount of dollars for all this compute. They're also designing their own chips that are AI specific and are going to be optimized for it. Versus OpenAI doesn't have that. They're trying to get infrastructure, but right now it's through Microsoft, and there's a weird relationship there. So I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see long term what that winner looks like.
Yes, it'll be exciting.
Yeah. Anyways, are we doing company thoughts?
No, we've gone way too long tonight,
All right.
and I don't have anything. So go do your
But
job.
mostly because we went too long.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Where can they find you guys?
Find me at control-analytics.com or on LinkedIn.
Connor Tyke Real Estate on Instagram and Trinity Homes, Arizona.
Cool. We've got SITObuilding.com and then SITObuilding on Instagram.
So until next time.
I hope your hammer stays accurate.
Your Wi-Fi fast.
And your work blessed.
See you, everybody.